Nei rā te mihi mana hau, he mihi humari kia koutou, ngā mana whenua nōku nei o tautahi. Kia koutou ngā kaitaki katoa o te whenua o Aotearoa. Nei rā te mihi atu kia koutou, ki te haramai, ki te whakaariarea o koutou tāringa kia hau, kia mātou. Ko Waiohua, am I loud? Ko Waiohua, he uri o Ngāti Te Waiohua me Ngāti Tiipa ki te puaha o Waikato, me te motu o Hāmoa, te motu o Aitutaki me Atu, Rarotonga, tata ki Tahiti Papiti, ko Amiria Rangihere Runga Amiria Puia-Taylor tōku ingoa, he people weaver ahau. Feel funny being up here sitting down and talking. Anyway. So I just wanted to say thank you very much to Museums Aotearoa for giving me the opportunity to come up here and speak. To those of you who know me, I used to work in the museum sector. In my heart, I'm still working in the glam sector, but today I stand here as a person outside of that. A people weaver, it's not a role that's new. In fact, it's very old, and I'm just bringing it back with a bit of spunk. In 2014, I had the privilege of being an intern. I worked under the guidance and the korowai of my tuakana Bethany Mātai Edmonds as a youth programmer at Auckland War Memorial Museum, Tāmaki Makaurau. And with that, I walked in as an intern with a background of 10 years doing mural arts in Tāmaki Makaurau as well as in the North Island. To this day, I have about 250 murals under my belt. My passion is working with rangatahi, and thankfully Bethany got pregnant and I took her job as the youth programmer. It's really interesting being here in reflection of my past times at the museum. I was one of the youngest members to receive a permanent position as the youth programmer, and I was really fortunate to have been there, to have taken the studies of being a project manager and an arts manager. I landed myself with a master's with distinction in arts management, and was able to utilise that museum and that whare taonga as a place of hood school learning. Where I am today, I am half self-employed, where I run alongside my business partner Jamie Waititi. We run an amazing little rangatahi hub. So put your hand up if you're on Instagram. Put your hand up if you're on Facebook. And put your hand up if you're on Twitter. I'm giving you 30 seconds to please like at the 312 hub. All right? My reason for saying this is because to me that's the living museum in my eyes. Everything that you all do and the roles that you play in these organisations and institutions, yes, they benefit people, but there's work that exists that people don't know about, like the 312 Hub, that to me is also a living, breathing whare taonga. Jamie and I set up the 312 Hub in Onehunga, an abandoned place in Onehunga that has a few issues, but we managed to get the place free rent for 2 years. And what we do is we've created a place where youth lead through community, change, culture, and creativity. So this place exists, it's got a gallery, just like every other museum, we've got a gallery. And then downstairs we also have a creative studio. It's been really interesting to use my role and all the hats I used to wear within the museum and with working with young people across Tāmaki Makaurau to be able to do everything I wasn't allowed to do. So I want you to go home tonight and have a look at the 312 Hub, and everything on there is for free, and it's based on a model of the whare tapawhā, where we incorporate well-being of the mind, physical health and safety in my eyes, but also including our whānau and our friends. I'm just going to go a bit off topic a little bit. My reasons for leaving the museum was purely, and I heard it today with the repatriation kōrero. Someone was saying that you can feel it. I think it was you, Rachel. You spoke about when you walk into the whare taonga, your body and your tinana can tell you if you're meant to be there. I had to leave the museum because I already knew straight away that my position isn't inside the museum. When we talk about value, and I heard Julian speak of value in a really beautiful way, but I can challenge that. Value is also of your body. Value is also of making sure that you know when you're meant to be in the whare taonga or not. Just like Matua Bobby explaining, the tupuna will tell you when they're ready to come home. My reasons for leaving the museum is because my value doesn't sit within the whare taonga. It's acknowledging that my value is actually at home with my people. Back in Waiohua, it's among the rangatahi, and it's also about being in the spaces where our actual everyday people are here. So I find it very interesting that this year's themes is talking about outside insights. Those of you that don't belong to an institute or work for yourselves, can you raise your hand? Awesome. That's not many of us. To me, the value in these types of spaces is being able to get more of us in these places so that it's not just museum people talking to museum people. In order for me to honour my role as the youth programmer at the museum was to stand outside of it, was to get back into the grassroots, was to get next to our children in kura and to paint murals with them and actually hear what do they want to learn. Obviously, majority of children only come into the museum when they are going for school trips, or when you get into secondary school and tertiary, it's only if you've got a specific pathway to wanting to be in the museum for whatever reason. In fact, I think my museum career actually started with my Uncle Dion when he was a kapahaka performer at the museum. And that was my introduction to what the taonga looked like. And my interest grew of reconnecting with those taonga purely because as a kid I was inspired by why are those taonga in there? We've got those back at home, but what's the difference between these ones with lighting and ours that are actually being used for kai? Or ours that are actually being used to house actually kids' shoes, and it's got nothing to do with taking care of it and glorifying it and not being able to touch it. So, for context, sitting here as a people weaver outside the museum, as much as the museum space has valued what I do, I find that I'm more valuable to the museum by being outside of it. Luckily for me, my relationship to the museum, I've been able to sit in the space of governance and to sit next to the taumata āiwi in our Pacific Advisory Group and actually give them exactly what the kids and the rangatahi are telling me, and being able to critique their strategic planning and go, actually these guys aren't really into it. And funnily enough, I'm being better remunerated for my mātauranga being outside of it as opposed to being in it. And the freedom I have of being able to speak wholeheartedly without feeling like I might, get in trouble here and there. My role now is to be a conduit for those rangatahi. And so when I speak about value, don't forget, while you're looking and manakiing those taonga that you have inside the museum, please recognise that in your communities where you all live, in the local marae that you have and in the kura, the tertiary institutions that you all have around you, those are living taonga. And that too also deserves a lot of the value that while you emphasise the needs of taking care of these taonga in-house, make sure that you think of equity and look after those taonga that sit without it. So on that note, I wanted to acknowledge a lot of the mahi that you do behind the scenes. I know that many of us here can see in the room, we've had one-on-one conversations. The beauty in what you do is that I hope you all go home and check in with your children, check in with your mums and your dads or your kaumātua and your kuia, and make sure that their mātauranga is placed into Vernon, but also so that their mātauranga is actually embedded into that taonga, because while that taonga sits there in a pressured room, it also needs to have life breathed into it. Is breathed a word? Okay, I'll make it a word. Well, anyway. But me sitting on the outside, working at the 312 hub, every Sunday we run hikoi, and we get to walk up Maunga Keke, where my tupuna hua kaiwaka was once sat in Kiwi Tāmaki, and everything that I learnt under Louise theory, under archaeologists such as Ian Lawler, also Mai Rurihi, Nāniko Manhanik, everything from all these amazing kaitiaki over the years have given me, I'm now practicing on my everyday. Do I get paid for it? Nah, but that's okay. Every Sunday I get to practice what kaitiakitanga looks like on the outside. And while I hope you guys all work your 40-hour weeks or on your fixed-term contracts, you make time to work with these existing kaupapa that sit with outside of it. Because that to me is how we can start those kōrero about repatriation with the community being involved. There's a lot of people, especially in my generation, that are entrepreneurs. They're all starting their own businesses because they're sick of having bosses that don't get it. And so among us in our own little community, we're trying to think of ways digitally, physically. A lot of us are also returning back home to our papa kāinga, but there's a huge ecology of people that I feel that we all have an opportunity to collaborate with. And essentially, deep down, I know that we're all people weavers. So my pātai and my tono to all of you is, how many rangatahi can you get under your wing today? How much mātauranga of yours can you pass on to them? And when we talk about evidence, how many of you are going to bring them along next year to make sure that while we talk about it amongst ourselves as the museum glam sector, who of you are going to make sure that people go out there and talk about it that sit with outside those whare taonga? Nō reira, i ngā mana, i ngā reo, i ngā raurangatira mā, kia koutou mā, kia kaha tonu. He tino miharurau atu taku manoa, taku hinengaro, ki te whakapakere, ki te whakatūwhira i ngā mea kaitiaki. Ai, tēnā koutou.